of our trip to South Korea. We are going to the DMZ tour today, which is basically the demilitarized zone between North Korea and South Korea. Come to our first stop, which is the suspension bridge. Now, this isn't actually part of the DMZ tour, but I think it's just somewhere that they stop on the way to break up the drive a little bit.
What a loser.
What Joey see it and was like, what a major loser.
You mean this?
The ultimate king of losers himself. So the guide was explaining to us that all of the Koreans come here and they'll take pictures like sitting on this bridge. So of course, that's how they did. It's really interesting. So the guide is teaching us all about like the Korean War and how like originally people from the north and south were given the option to move to the north and south, like they were given the choice pretty much as to where they wanted to go. And there's obviously no contact between South and North Korea these days, so it's saying that a lot of people, like North Koreans that moved down to South Korea, have no idea like whether their families and stuff are still alive. So this is one of the trains that would have gone from South Korea to North Korea when they were still trading and when they would have to pass things through, and this rail track, basically where we are now, would have been the last stop in South Korea. And then it would have obviously gone through that way and ended up at the first stop in North Korea. So the guy was just explaining to us that when North Korea and South Korea signed a peace treaty to basically say that they would stop fighting with each other, the North Koreans, and they set the DMZ up, so the demilitarized zone up, the North Koreans started to build tunnels underneath the demilitarized zone so that they could still come and attack South Korea despite having the peace treaty in place. So we're actually going to go into one of the tunnels, which is really interesting. We just finished inside the tunnels. We actually weren't allowed to bring phones or anything in that, but it was really cool. Really narrow. It was a very steep hill to get back out, but it was cool. You basically got to walk all the way down to where the North Koreans had, I don't really know if that's where they finished their tunnel or that's just like
So they got there and they were caught.
that is where they got to. Okay, so that is where they got to when they got caught. But it was so interesting. But we're done there now. The next thing we're going to do is go to the observatory, which is usually where you have like binoculars and you can look over into North Korea. But apparently they've got rid of those at the minute because the North Koreans are threatening to kill the tourists that are looking out, which is what the guide said to us. Just home from the DMZ tour. It was so much fun. It was really interesting learning all about the Korean history and like the divide between North and South Korea. Unfortunately, in the observatory, we weren't allowed to take any photos of North Korea. One thing I was really surprised at actually is that I thought because we weren't able to use the binoculars that we wouldn't really be able to see North Korea, but you could actually like see it, like it was close enough to see it from where we were in the observatory. And I mean, obviously it's still far away, but like you can see the North Korean flag and you can see all like the houses and the buildings and stuff. So would highly recommend that tour.